Hi everybody, hope you're all okay and you all had a good New Year's Eve and didn't get too drunk. Just got a little plumbing tip for you, something I did a little while ago which on the whole hasn't worked out too badly, but just one little thing I thought I'd let you know, because depending on what you're doing your water supply for, this could be an important little point for you. As you can see, I haven't got the biggest kitchen in the world. Now the problem I had was I don't have room to have a washing machine in here, basically because that wall was angled, otherwise I could have probably just about squeezed one in if it hadn't been. So I had a choice of either I could put my fridge out in the outhouse and have the washing machine there, or vice versa. Now I didn't fancy the idea of every time I was making a cup of tea I've got to go into the outhouse to grab the milk. Plus I didn't like the idea of it being out there with all the spiders and stuff, which no doubt sooner or later would have probably found a way into the fridge. So I had a little bit of a dilemma. What I initially had to set up, this is obviously in my outhouse. So I got this little cubby area at the end. So I thought, well, that's a good place to put it. Now when I initially started doing this, it really was a bit of a pain in the backside, because what I was basically doing, I had the washing machine in there, I had no outlet for the wastewater to go to, I had no water supply out here to plug it into, and I also didn't have an electrical socket out here. So every time I wanted to do a washing, what it basically involved was me opening up the kitchen window, sticking an extension lead from a socket in the kitchen and having the extension lead out here and plugging the machine in. I then had to connect up a hose pipe to a washing machine connection I had underneath the sink, then bringing the hose pipe in here and connecting that up to the washing machine, and then sticking the waste pipe just outside this door. Luckily enough I've got a rodding eye for in case your plumbing gets blocked up. So what I basically do, I just have to take the little cover off that rodding eye and I stick the waste pipe down there. So as you can imagine, that was a real pain in the backside every time you wanted to do a washing, especially if it's chucking it down with rain. So I thought, I've got to get water and power out here, which I eventually did. Luckily enough, I've got a socket on this wall inside, so what I've done is drilled through there, hooked up a power supply, run the conduit along there and hooked that up. Then at a later date I drilled through the wall again and I brought a water pipe through the wall. I've got that all legged up for in the winter. As you can now see, I'm all nicely set up now with me power socket and my water connected down the bottom. So that made life a lot easier for me. I actually did go to the trouble of drilling through that wall and putting a waste pipe into the drain pipe coming off this outhouse roof, because I just assumed that it went into the water pipes, but didn't realise if I'd done that, all that actually is my soak away, so it just like runs down the pipe and supposedly soaks into the ground. So I was a bit peed off when I'd gone to the hassle of doing all that and then realised it wasn't actually in the drain, going into a drain system. So I am stuck at the moment with putting it in that rodding eye. Right, now the little issue, and it's not a major one, the way I've done this works perfectly fine. Got plenty of pressure for this washing machine. There's a pressure when you're sort of going into the soap tray, and I've also got a 25 metre hose pipe here, which I thought I'll use that for when I'm washing my car. Now that works well, and there is enough pressure there to wash my car, hose it down when I'm finished with it. But it would have been nice to just add that little bit more pressure, and I think the issue, probably because it's over such a long area, 25 metres, it does take that full hose line to get me out to the car. And I think what the issue is, which I didn't think about at the time, what I've done I'll show you down in this corner. A bit of light on the scene first. What I've done is I've used one of these flexi pipes. That's obviously the pipe work coming round from the kitchen sink. Then just to save me the hassle of having the real fiddly job of lining these pipes up perfectly well, which is where the art of plumbing comes in, I suppose, when you're getting things to match up perfectly. And for the amateur, these flexi pipes are a godsend. That made what would have been a little bit of a fiddly job, that would have took you a bit of time, and made it a lot simpler. Now the issue is, although that is a 15mm flexible pipe, the actual diameter of the pipe itself is not 15mm. The connection is where it connects on the pipe, obviously. I'll just show you a little as an example of what I'm talking about. This is an isolation valve. Now it is a 15mm connection, as you can see on the ends. That's where your pipe would push into. But as you look in there, as you can obviously see, it is nowhere near 15mm in the middle. I think the centre piece is probably only 10mm, I would guess. So I think when you're using something like the garden hose, because you need a lot of volume of water, then I think the fact that that's actually only a 10mm hole, which is the diameter of the pipe, then I think that's where the issue comes in. I say it's not dreadful, it is enough to do it, but having used one at my mate's house where he hasn't used one of these flexi pipes, there is a difference in the pressure, in how much water flow you get. If all you're doing this for is to hook up a washing machine, then you don't have to worry about this. There is more than enough pressure coming through the system for your washing machine, and there is enough to do the car. If you wanted to do your garden, then I think you would still be okay. I think the big issue with this would come if you were planning on using a jet wash. Then I've got a feeling that that reduced hole then wouldn't actually be able to supply enough volume of water to operate a jet wash. I think your jet wash should probably just keep cutting out when the pressure dropped. Now, I'm not sure if you can get them with the isolation valve. You can now get full bore isolation valves, so it is actually 15mm all the way through. You pay a little bit more for them. Now, I'm not sure whether you can get them with these flexi pipes. Possibly you can. I haven't actually seen them yet. But what I had thought would be a way around this, if it was something like you were going to use a jet wash and you wanted to play safe. Then my thought for getting around this would be where the pipe comes through the wall, on the end of that, put a fitting on it, either whether you use a compression fitting or a soldered joint. Have your 15mm on the end that joins the pipe, obviously, and then have it stepping up to a 22mm pipe. Just put literally an inch of pipe in it. You know, you have to do that both ends, and then instead of using a 15mm flexi hose, use a 22mm flexi hose, which I would imagine on them, I should imagine means it's 22. I should imagine the actual bore of them probably then is 15 or 16mm, and you're obviously going to be able to get a lot more volume of water through the system then, and that would eradicate that problem. So I might do it. So it's not a major issue because it does work reasonably well, but I may get round to doing it at some point. So I just thought I'd mention it, because I really do think if you were going to use a jet wash, I've got a feeling it just wouldn't be quite enough. I say that is quite a difference in the size of holes on them if you look at them. So just thought I'd point that out for anyone. Might save someone the hassle and scratching their head wondering why the jet wash keeps cutting out. So that could be my first tip of 2016. So have a good year everybody. See you all soon. Hi guys, back again. I just had a little afterthought that I thought I'd point out to you. Now remember, I used to have a connection under the sink here before I went to the trouble of plumbing the pipe in properly. Now the other sort of connection you get that a lot of people probably use are these water pipe connections for washing machines, where you don't have the hassle of cutting pipes or soldering or anything. I have got one still knocking about, but I can't find it. I'm sure you'll know what it is. Some of them, basically it comes as a clamp, so you imagine it, you just put it over there, you got a little screw holds it in, it opens up, you put it over the pipe and then you screw it together, so it's just clamped onto your pipe basically. Then the whole centre piece of it's a big knob, but you just twist it and basically it cuts into your pipe, and that pierces a little hole in there. So they're very simple to use. I'm sure a lot of people go for them because they're pretty well trouble free. Now those things really are only any good if you're using it for a washing machine or a dishwasher, because that little hole that gets punctured in there is literally no more than, I would say, 6-7mm absolute maximum. So there is no way you're going to get sufficient water pressure through a hole that size if you want to use it for a garden hose, let alone even thinking about a jet wash. So that's all I just wanted to point out. If you just want to use it as a basic garden hose, you will not get enough pressure out of that tiny little hole to do it. If it's for a washing machine, absolutely fine, that'll do you nicely, but definitely no good for anything other than your washing machine. Alright guys, catch you later.